Please advise. The arguments presented in this video may offend some people. Please think critically about the presented arguments before offering an opinion. If you do decide to give an opinion, make sure that it is on topic and supported by facts and evidence and not by more opinions. Hi, Zamorak Left here. I recently got back to RuneScape after a friend contacted me about the reinstatement of old school RuneScape. A few of my viewers have also asked me to try out this 2007scape. After trying out this version of 2007scape, I have concluded that this version of RuneScape is a vast improvement to Jagex's atrocious attempt to innovate in the form of evolution of combat. However, it can be further improved by advancing the game's age 3 more years into the future by way of 2010scape. My argument from this point is that 2010scape is vastly superior to 2007scape in almost every regard. I would first like to equate the campaign for 07scape to the campaign of Free Trade. There are both attempts to revive a game that has been slowly dying over the years. Like Free Trade, there are both pros and cons to the update. Think of the pros as the short-term effects and the cons as the long-term. Remember these terms as I will use them extensively throughout this argument. I will now list the argument for the case of 2007scape. If you have a question concerning the death-limiting effects of Free Trade, please refer to the video I made 2 years ago or in the comment section. Players have given multiple arguments for why 07scape is the best option. These arguments can be summed up to include 3 main arguments. The first is that the reinstatement of the game that many feel is nostalgic and is more fun to play. They believe that this is the way that RuneScape should be played, and many believe that to think of the contrary is to be an EOC faggot. The second argument given is that 07scape created a healthier community of players than existed previously. The third and final argument is that 07scape created a more balanced and healthy economy that promotes interaction and value of items while stopping inflation. My objection to the first argument is that it is true that the game was fun to play. The feeling of nostalgia that emanates from being butt-fucked by Jagex for 2 years would produce some overwhelming feelings. However, the fun aspect is only the short-term aspect. Many people seem to forget that 2007scape was painfully slow compared to many Korean MMO grinds. A Korean MMO is usually characterized by the fact that it took almost forever to get up to the highest level. Many people seem to forget that yes, you can get 99 straight from cows while getting 99 crafting at the same time, but the process will leave your hair either white or non-existent. Despite its many inaccuracies, this argument defending 2000scape is still easily the strongest of the 3 due to the sheer illogical characteristic of the other 2. My second objection is that people actually believe this one. 2007 created a healthier community of players than existed previously in EOC and other RuneScape communities. I must first point out why this is not logically follow. The EOC community and 2007 community are composed of literally the same players. So what makes the community much better? Players do not simply become better people by moving to a different medium of gameplay, evidenced by the statements that will be made later on in this video. That is like saying player A lives in location X and likes eating apples. Player A moves to location Y, therefore he doesn't like eating apples anymore. Ceteris paribus. The fact of the matter is, the community did not change. I will explain many of the negative characteristics of the community later on in this video. This is the third and weakest argument in support of 2007scape, the healthy economy argument. Imagine if Jagex made no updates and the same amount of people play the game throughout the years. Actually, even better. Imagine if the number of players playing the game grows every day and RuneScape is prospering. What happens to the community? The economy. Well, this game doesn't have a garbage disposal system for items that are not consumable. That in turn causes deflation, which is a term that many people idiotically confuse with inflation. I'm sure that many of you can attest to either seeing people present this inflation argument or have done it yourselves. The inflation is rising prices, while deflation is falling prices. When your Dragon Claws cost 2000k, that's deflation, not inflation. Now that we have the term clarification out of the way, I can get on with my argument. People believe that GE caused a deflation of items, but that is simply not true. The law of supply and demand mandates that the more that there is in an item, the less it is worth. Even without the GE, there will be a surplus of items that will happen throughout the years, leading to widespread deflation. Since the cost of deflation has not been removed, it is logically inconsistent to say that going back to 2007scape created a healthier economy. This brings the conclusion that 2000scape is not the most acceptable long-term oriented fix for RuneScape. This is not to say that I support EOCscape, and if any person watching this video at this point still doubts this, please find a statement that I have made which supports this claim. However, I strongly advocate another controversial plan, 2010scape. My thought on this case for the advancement of RuneScape is that 2010scape is the strongest system that Jagex has implemented so far. My arguments are that 2010scape not only adequately fixes the problems associated with RuneScape, but also made it an even more desirable game to play. In the following arguments, I will only present 2 strong arguments for the case. Take note that many of the positives of 2010, such as rest, bank search, and many others are not mentioned for the sake of time. Remember when RuneScape had a real-world trading problem? I'll give you a synopsis of past events if you are not familiar. Jagex became disillusioned with the fact that gold farmers were making money from its game and decided to implement Bounty Hunter System 1. This system entailed that people were not allowed to trade beyond a certain limit and that PKing will only ensure that you loot if you were protected by 20 people in Arabs. They later implemented System 2, which gave completely random and low-tier drops. After that, we finally arrived at the destination that I'm interested in, 2010scape. However, this near-perfect system was removed by Jagex, who, in wanting to innovate, gave the players a bandwagon that they could jump on, free trade, and look what happened. A more detailed explanation of the detrimental effects of free trade can be further explained by the video I mentioned earlier in the video, as well as the comment section. Now to the argument that 2010scape is superior. The first argument is time. The sluggish grind that people often look back to with disdain was diminished in 2010. With the implementation of GE, people can more easily find what they need to accomplish their goals. Say, for example, you are doing a quest which requires a button. Of course, in 2007scape, you can buy dragon daggers more easily than most items, albeit more difficult. But who sells buttons? With GE, there evaporates the 2 hours that one would spend pickpocketing for the buttons. Not only that, but the wasted time spent standing around, typing, selling chinchampas 400 GP each, and trying to get into World 1 and 2 are gone. So GE did much to speed up the slow grind that is RuneScape. Also, if players have more access to items, it will be easier for them to achieve their goals and levels, which brings a more balanced wilderness environment to PK. If someone loses his or her only rune set, they needn't spend hours trying to buy another set. This also applies to law runes for teleporting, random items for clue scrolls, and many others. Before you start commenting on this argument, I will give you some objections that you may have in mind. Not only that, but I will attempt to give you a satisfactory answer for that objection. One objection is that GE caused merchants to get rich. Does that mean merchants did not exist before GE existed? Such a statement is a fallacy in of itself because merchants have existed way before GE was even implemented. It even exists in real life in the form of Wall Street. Another objection is that GE takes the interaction out of trading. However, even when GE existed, hundreds of people still stood around Varrock Westbeck in GE trading, so that statement is also not valid. The last objection that I will present to you is that GE brought inflation. I think I have already explained this very thoroughly, and if that answer is not satisfactory, then please review the text file of this video. The second argument is the economy. Think back to when I gave the real reason for deflation of the RuneScape economy. Why were the prices of sharks and potions constant while bears and gossors continuously crashed? That has to do with the non-existent item filter that existed during the non-BH era. When the supply constantly goes up without ever decreasing or stabilizing, the price will infinitely fall until it reaches 0.00001. However, with BH, items that will otherwise always remain in the game started dissipating into the system. When you die for a set of rune, the player that killed you does not necessarily get that set of rune. He will get a set of random items, artifacts, or a combination of both. This helped to stabilize an economy that was spiraling out of control by controlling the flow of items. One of the most famous objections to this argument is that you do not PK what you deserve. I will not get into the complexity of the item drop system as that would take another 10 minutes, but you are welcome to ask me in private messages when this video is over. Even without the calculation, however, the argument is irrelevant. Killing targets yields an average 500k per kill, and killing with an average EP yields around 200k, granted that you never die and do not have death points. Even so, killing people with a rune set that costs around 200k during that time and getting 80k is roughly the same as killing someone today with a set that has been devalued through deflation. It is also hypocritical for one to use the economy argument in conjunction with this as they are polar opposites. Another famous objection is that players would have to wait forever to gather EP to PK. The answer to this is simple. You need not EP to PK at all. The objection is to make money. If the objection is to make money, then there are many other alternatives. But what of people that want to reap the rewards of their PK? The answer again is simple. If you attribute high EP to high rewards, then that means it will take time for you to get a PK. Wanting astronomical loot all the time is like walking in the wild where rune is obsolete and everyone PKs with a party hat risk. With a combination of a speedy game and thriving economy, 2010scape sets the groundwork for a system that will last for many years. However, Jagex, in their attempt to innovate by structuring itself off a business model, overlooked the long-term aspects of 2010. There are, however, something that cannot be fixed. The most prevalent and perverse idea is that the community itself is something that is pure and should be held above all esteem. This is simply false. Within the entity that is the RuneScape community, people are eager to point fingers without thinking critically and are usually satisfied by a short-term solution rather than a long-term one. This is comparable to a teenager robbing a store for the short-term satisfaction of the act instead of thinking about the long-term disciplinary actions and shame brought onto him by the members of the community, amongst other things. No matter what mediums the game runs on, there will always be deplorable acts committed and illogical fallacies upheld. My final point of this video is that I did not present myself as morally or logically superior. This video was meant to give an introspective insight into the long-term effects of mediums implemented by Jagex and supported by the often ignorant masses. I am not saying that I will not play 2007scape. Keep in mind that I am only saying that 2010scape will be a more adequate fix for the problems that are mentioned by the community. There are many objections to my argument, which I am happy to address and incinerate, but for the sake of time, I will only address the most common and powerful one, which is, we do not want to play a fast-paced game. 2007scape is the way that RuneScape was meant to be played, and you can get the fuck out if you think otherwise. My answer to that objection is to refer to human impulses. Yes, for the short term, you want to play a game that is nostalgic to you, and so do I. But for the long term, I have given you multiple reasons as to why 2010scape is superior. And if you still have some doubts, I can provide you with even more evidence that cannot be fitted into this video. There are many other arguments that I simply cannot contain with this one video, such as the positive and negative effects of updates, human impulses, the demand for 2007's gold at $20 per mil, and etc. The text draft of the essay is also 2,000 plus words, almost reaching 2,500 words after an hour of banging on a keyboard. If you wish to bring them up with me in the comment section, I will discuss them with you there or in private chat or in-game. If you have listened to the entire video, I thank you for spending your time to listen to my arguments. If you have any further questions about anything in the video, please consult the text file in the description. If you have any counter-arguments or objections to my arguments, please state them in the comments below, supported by logic and evidence. Any arguments such as "you're a Mexican" will be deleted or responded to with even more vehement reasons from me. Good day.